Good morning, Keith Tebow, FRCmedia. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday. And being Thursday, here's our chance to catch up with the mayor of the city of Fall River, Mayor Paul Coogan. Mayor, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Keith. Fine.
I am doing well, thank you. We had a week off last week. We took some time, recharge a little bit, but there's been quite a bit that's been going on since we last spoke. But first, I want to ask a question about the storm on Tuesday. It was a heavy wind, some rain. How was the damage in Fall River? Are there still any spots of any concern?
I don't know of any spots right now. About 25 trees came down. I got a call from John Perry that night. The crews seemed like they were staying ahead of it and getting the streets cleared up. And I saw him yesterday on Prospect Street taking down a broken tree there. And we didn't really get any complaints in the office, so that's always a good barometer of how we're doing. So I think the DPW and John Perry did a great job clearing things up quickly.
Yeah, that's always good to hear, because these storms, sometimes we'll hear they may not be too bad. I know Rhode Island had a number of power outages, and there were a lot of power outages in some, isolated spots. So it's good that the city pretty much came out of it unscathed. All right, couple of things. Earlier this week, I believe it was actually yesterday, you participated in an event with the One South Coast Chamber, giving a status of the business within the city of Fall River. What were some of the things you shared with business leaders about how the city is faring, and obviously COVID playing a big part of that, isn't it?
I mean, for those kind of presentations, it seems like you're almost going through a laundry list of things that are going on in the city. And I sat there after it was over, and I thought about things that I didn't bring up and things I should have brought up. But there is a lot going on in the city, from the city pier to the waterfront. Sidewalks, streets, grants. We're going to rebuild a lot of the sewer and wastewater treatment areas up in the industrial park. There's a bunch of things going on that should help us attract and keep business here. And they were keen on what I had to say. I have the list right here in front of me, and we went through the whole thing. I believe going forward, you're going to see a lot of economic development going on in Fall River. In some areas that might not always have been conducive to it. I didn't even bring up the police station, which is already seems to be moving along. I mean, if we have 100 yards to go, we're probably at yard 5, but that's better than being at 0. So there are some things going on with economic development. I can't even tell you about a few of them, but they would be they'd have a major impact on our city.
Yeah. Sort of in conjunction to that, in terms of the future of the city, we had talked about this probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. The survey that the city put forth primarily through Facebook to get residents' input about a number of topics within the city. Are you close to revealing some of those results in terms of how people are feeling things?
There's actually an article up on the Herald News website. I had spoken with Joe Good about it, and we'll get it up on the City of Fall River website. I thought it was, although it's not a scientific poll per se, it's an indicator of a lot of the things that we all go to Facebook or Instagram and listen to the public. They were very, very on point. I was impressed with the level of thought and the ideas that came out when we gave them 10 choices, and then we asked them if there was another area that concerned them, and they listed area after area. We got 168 answers, which that's probably a couple of them that said something negative about me, and I actually thought it was going to be a lot more, but people were on point, and they're looking at the same things we're looking at: infrastructure, public safety, schools, addiction. Some of the things that weren't issues were like trash, city politics. And again, I just think it's a barometer of where we stand as a city, and I plan on doing more of them in the future for specific issues.
Now, how is a survey like this going to help you in terms of how you govern? As you said, it's a snapshot in time. It's not obviously a very comprehensive event, but will it at least give you some sort of guidance moving forward?
Absolutely. When you look at of the 1,043 answers, 825 votes of the 1,000 put crime and public safety right at the top. So that's an area where we're keenly focused right now, trying to work with the chief, fill any gaps that may be caused by any kind of budget shortfalls, things that have gone on in the past. We're trying to work through a bunch of issues related to public safety that have one singular focus to make the city safer. Infrastructure. I can tell you that there's another chunk of money that's going to be getting distributed into the city and streets and sidewalks of Fall River that we're going to have a home for, making the streets and sidewalks safer and smoother for everybody. The schools, obviously, that's a big problem. We need to open these schools up to the best of our ability, safely, and then addiction. But all of these things, and again, with the number one topic on everybody's mind for a long time was COVID. That ranked 6th in the survey. People have kind of stepped back from that a little bit. So there are things we can look at, it's a barometer of where we are. And I was
Right.
appreciative that everybody took the time to fill it out.
I do want to shift briefly to COVID. Numbers have been up and down. Yesterday we had one case. The day before, I think we had 19 cases. I know that the testing centers, the Stop the Spread centers, which are going to be up for about another week, are hopefully making an impact and getting people more tested. Are you hearing from those centers that more people are coming forward to get tested?
Actually, testing was down a whisker. I think people, I don't know, they have the opportunity now to walk up and just get a test at any time. So that's obviously a great convenience for Fall River, but testing's down a little bit. The numbers have gone up and down. They're on swings. I had a conversation yesterday with the Lieutenant Governor and the Secretary of Health and Human Services related to another method that they want to shift some of these testing numbers. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's the right way to go. And they're going to address it again next week. But it's always in a state of flux. It's like I said, yesterday was 1, the day before was 19. And what's happening now, Keith, is its range. It goes from 20 to 80. The tests are going. Whereas early in this thing, it seemed like we were having a high concentration of our elderly population with others sprinkled in. It seems like now it's across the board. But we stay on top of it, and we try to make sure that we do whatever we can to support people that are in any kind of struggles with it. And we're not going to let go of this until we get rid of it.
Yeah.
And we have seen to make my point, which again,
yeah,
basketball hoops, which we've talked about a few times. We looked for that jump. We looked for that spike in that age group of 18 to 30 to see if all these kids playing basketball caused the numbers to spike, and that did not occur. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to happen next week or the next day. That's not what I'm saying. But we've opened the hoops up now for 3 weeks, and there's been no significant jump in those numbers whatsoever.
Yeah. So that's actually a very good thing to report.
Yeah.
I want to get back to city budget. Another thing that was announced last week we didn't have a chance to talk about was the pledge by the governor and the legislature to fund local aid to cities and towns at the fiscal 2020 level, with potentially more money for schools. How does that play into your plans now to present a full city budget to the city council?
Well, a couple things. Okay, so city budgets go up every year. So when we're level funded, that's actually cut. I think we're working our way around it to the best of our ability. We're still constantly in contact with Washington, D.C. on the CARES money. Schools got a bump of about $6 million, which then again, 20% of that is shifted to the city, which is another $1 million that we have to come up with. It's going to be a very interesting year for the budget. I had a meeting last night with Council President Pott, and I want to say 98% of the meeting was talking about the budget. There are going to be a number of things that are going to come out to the public, but it is our budget. I wish we could put draft on it still, but we're not allowed to do that. So we're going to go with the budget we have. It's going to have a few things in it that we have to address going down the road. But right now, we were under the obligation to submit a budget so the council would get to their work. I mean, they have a huge responsibility in this. And going forward, we're going to have a level funded budget for the city that may need some tweaking.
When do you expect to present that to the council?
I think they're going to get a copy of it. They've been picking up copies today and yesterday and today, so they'll have it in their hands. And I believe it'll be discussed at the council meeting next week.
All right. I'd like to get a copy of that, if at all possible. You can make that request
I don't
to
know.
take a look at it.
Keith, go easy on me, please. I'm just trying to get back. I know that whatever our requirements are to get it out to the public,
Yeah,
we'll do that.
I appreciate, and that actually gets to my next question. Now we talked about schools. I know that the superintendent, on the 20th, announced a little bit about the initial plans for schools. They needed to present something to the state last week, and I believe final plans are due soon. Any updates on where the schools may go? I believe the deadline is the 10th, which is Monday.
The 10th, right? I believe it's the 10th also. Now I've heard two active rumors on that I don't have any guidance on. The state's going to end up making the call for all the schools, and the other one is that we're going to be going to a hybrid plan. I think no matter what we do, this is fraught with danger. We want to, obviously, safety's got to become the number one thing. But I'm a firm believer that kids belong in school. They need that interaction. They need that instruction. They need that social networking that makes us all better people. But with that comes safety. Now, in Massachusetts, I had this conversation yesterday with the lieutenant governor. Not one case of COVID has been transferred from a young person, say under 16, to an adult. But that doesn't mean that they're not carriers, and it could happen at any minute. We're in a really, really dangerous position. It's another one of these great decisions that come to a mayor in a city and a superintendent, Matt Malone. I believe the final decision still rests with him, but obviously he'll work with the committee to make the best decision for the city of Fall River. And it's coming quick. Even though school might have been delayed a couple of weeks, we're going to have to come up with a plan and that's going to be focused on safety and instruction.
When is the next school committee meeting? Is it next week?
Monday, yeah, I think it's next week. Well, Monday or Tuesday next week. The agenda should be coming out next week.
Okay. I have another political question. Then I do want to get back to budget. Last week it was announced as well that you have thrown your support to Jake Auchincloss in terms of supporting him for the Democratic primary in the 4th congressional district. Easy for me to say. What were your thoughts about supporting Mr. Auchincloss?
He and I were talking about city issues. Now I know social justice issues and a lot of those things have seemed like they've bumped to the forefront of the political issues around the state right now. But my conversations with all the candidates are Jesse and Ms. Grossman and all of them I've met. They're all nice people, but have been around trash, infrastructure, schools, more the traditional issues, because that's what I believe Fall River's focused on. We've done a great job trying to accommodate people to the best of our ability in the city, and there's more coming. But he was a former Marine, got a family. He's a Newton City councilor, has a little bit of money behind him, endorsed this week by the Boston Globe, which means a hell of a lot more than Paul Coogan. And I think he'll be a good partner with the city of Fall River. But I also think there's a number of candidates in there that'll be partners with the city of Fall River. And I've spoken to a couple of them since the endorsement, and they have every intention of working with us no matter what way it goes going forward.
And you just lost some light in your office. You have one of those motion detectors, right?
I'm trying to do it, but I don't want to look
okay.
waving my arm around.
Yeah, you end up waving your arm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a good look if you start waving your arm.
I know. You'll play it and make me look bad.
That's right. I've got to go back to the budget. Can you tell us anything in terms of, are there going to be any positions cut? Are there going to be any other fee increases in general that people may need to look forward or not look forward to?
I don't believe there's going to be any fee increases. I believe some positions that are open are going to be left open because I prefer that to laying people off any day of the week. I'm hoping that if CARES Act money comes through, that $7 million plus, we can do some tweaking, which is what I told you is our plan going forward. And we'll be okay, but we're not right now. I shouldn't say that. We are laying some people off in our senior centers because there's no guidance on when those will be reopened. I'm hoping it's a temporary layoff. I heard it was going to be phase 4, but phase 4 is also allegedly when we get a vaccine. So that could be November, December, January, February. We'll sit tight. The senior centers are still closed. So we're going to lay those people off for now. We let the unemployment benefits run to the end of July, but that's a handful, 6 people. But as far as traditional city workers, we're not going to be laying off any. We're not going to increase fees. We are going to leave positions open and try to patch through with that theory.
Are furloughs a possibility?
Absolutely. Those are all on the table as going forward. And they're right. When I'm talking, obviously, I'm talking right now. Things change. This is a very fluid situation. Right now, all those things are still on the table. They may just be slid to the left. When we get through this budget, we find out where we stand financially related to the CARES Act and the schools, and we may have to come back to the council again and ask for their assistance in moving some money around or moving some people. But right now, there's no layoffs other than the senior centers, and there's no fee increases.
But in terms of furloughs, are they currently in this document in terms of
No,
people needing to take?
no, none in there now.
Okay. But it is a possibility.
That's
Okay.
absolutely a possibility.
Okay. All right. Mayor Paul Coogan, thank you for your time as always. We'll talk again next week.
All right, I appreciate it, Keith. Thank you.
All right. Have a good week. And thank you for joining us here on FRC Media as we provide you with updates from City Hall and other news across the city of Fall River. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great